I'm Whitney.
I'm Mindy.
And I'm Deb.
We're three best friends who love nerdy things.
Well, some people think we're nerdy, but we think we're pretty awesome.
This is our nerdiest thing.
Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to our nerdiest thing. Today we are discussing Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. This is part 2 of our discussion on chapter 17.
Just because you went to London, you went to London and got fancy. Discussion.
Oh man, that was rough.
You go to Belgium for one day.
Literally, less than 24 hours. Chapters 17 through 33. But before we get into it, in all of our fancy glory, that sounds dirty in a weird way.
Your fancy glory hole?
Oh my gosh, now I'm having a hot flash because I'm all flustered. Let's just talk about the cocktail, Deb.
I mean, you said glory hole, you said cock, you said...
I said glory.
You said discussion. Okay. Tonight's Nerdiest Cocktail is named Christmas Eve Kiss. And it's themed after Happily Ever Afters. Because they do have a Happily Ever After.
Nice.
This drink pairs well with reuniting a band, stopping a blackmailer, and true love's kiss. And it might cause an entire city to help you hunt down your soulmate.
Oh, I love that.
That is really sweet.
It's got vodka, amaretto, orange juice, cranberry juice, fresh cranberries, orange peel, all that good stuff. It's
All my
very,
favorite
very
stuff.
Christmassy.
It is very Christmassy.
And I would say be careful. I think this drink will knock you on your ass. So,
Let's blame that for my discussion.
discussion. She has had 2 sips, you guys.
You know me. Before we go any further, let's do our nerdy and dirty recap. Mindy, whose turn is it?
The Wheel of Names says that it's my turn.
Yay!
Haha. I like how every week it's not my turn. I'm like,
I know, right?
We celebrate.
Yeah, I know.
Woohoo.
Thanks for making the cocktail that's majorly strong on the week that I have to do this.
You're
It's going to be fun.
is this going to be one of those episodes where Whitney is texting the producer going, just fix it. Just fix it.
Please
It might
help.
be.
All right, I've got your 1 minute on the clock. Ready, set, and go.
Number 1, Beat and Melody arrive at her mom's commune to an odd scene involving neighbors dressed as Santas, and Melody manages to land herself in jail with her mom. Melody and her mom clear the air a little bit, but Trina refuses to do the reunion. Beat bails them out, and Trina throws a party. Melody and Beat sing Rattle the Cage to the party guests, and then have mind-blowing sex. One bed trope, yes! And then Melody asks for space. Boo. Beat leaves a party and shows up at Melody's bocce ball game with a whole cheering section, and they make up, get cozy, quote, only as friends, and then head out for an epic snowball fight. Snowball fight. That didn't sound right. They go back to Melody's apartment and have all the sex. Beat finishes for real. Finally,
For real.
the 2 lovebirds go on the Today Show, and surprise, Beat's biological douchebag Fletcher Carr tries to steal the show. Beat freaks out and upsets Melody by breaking up with her because he thinks he's protecting her. Melody's mom shows up on her doorstep, and they have an actual heart-to-heart. Aww. The cat's out of the bag, so Octavia and Trina decide to bury the hatchet for the sake of revenge on Fletcher, and maybe for their kids too. Melody anger bangs Beat in an elevator, and then she breaks it off. Steelbirds has a reunion concert at the mom's fault. Tell Fletcher to fuck off, and Melody realizes she needs Beat and runs to him. Beat proposes the end.
Yay!
Mindy gives us 10 paragraphs.
You did it.
I almost made it. I think if I hadn't have fucked up on that one line, I would have been
Snowball
okay.
fight?
Yeah, the snow flaw.
Give us
thought that was good.
number 10 again.
So number 10 was Steelbirds has their reunion concert. The moms tell Fletcher to fuck off. Melody realizes she needs Beat and runs to him. Beat proposes the end.
Yay!
A lot happened in these chapters for real.
It was,
Yeah.
especially the last few chapters. It was a lot.
I cut out a lot.
I did really, I don't know if you did it like this on purpose or just speeding through, but I really enjoyed that Fletcher is Beat's biological douchebag. Oh, that's funny. I had forgotten what the biological douchebag's name was, so I'm glad that you said his name. That helps me now with our
I'm really
our
interested
discussion.
to hear, did you all fan cast him for this episode?
Oh, shoot,
I
I didn't.
did.
I didn't even think about
Well, maybe you
that.
can think about it while
Oh, yeah,
we're
I'll think
recording
on that.
tonight, but I'm interested to see who you all said. I'm very excited about this.
We all know how good I am at fan casting.
At
So.
vibes.
Mindy, will you please do our nerdiest vocabulary?
I would love to because I'm super excited about this week. I didn't think that I was going to be able to find anything that was going to be worth anything for vocab, but I decided to look into the names melody and beat because they are musical terms, right?
They are.
Yes. And so melody It comes from the Greek melos, that means song. Duh, right? But a melody is actually defined as a sequence of single notes that are musically pleasing to the listener. It's part of the song that is the most memorable. So remember that, because I have something to bring that all back around.
One time Whitney tried to explain the difference between melody and harmony to me, and I still don't understand. I still don't get it.
Well, I don't go into harmony, but
We'll save that for a bonus episode.
Where I'm like, what?
I don't even know if I would know how to explain that, to be honest
Like,
with
aren't
you.
those the same thing?
No, I know they're not the same thing, but yeah, it's nuanced.
Taylor Ash, help me out.
So the name Beat, which you wouldn't think would actually be a name, but there actually is a German name that's spelled like that, but it's pronounced Beat. Beat. Yeah, it probably does sound more like that. Which means blessed or happy or bringer of joy. And
That's nice.
I know, right? So in music, the beat is the basic unit of rhythm, which is the underlying steady pulse of the song, right? So beats are often used to...
Boom, boom, boom.
Thank you, Whitney. Keep going.
Can you do the melody
Beats
now?
are often
Well, not at
used.
the same time.
Just how I was going to do.
I did it.
Oh, Lord.
Yay.
Oh, my God. My glasses are fogging.
See, now you're having a hot flash.
I am. Beats are often used to create anticipation or tension in a song. And that, I think, is appropriate for someone who likes to be edged.
Ooh. Nice connection.
I do find it ironic that this is his name, considering his biological douchebag was the drummer. The drummer being the band member who defines the beat for the rest of the group.
I had not even thought about that.
Wait, let me blow your minds a little bit more.
And when he stops beating, they break up.
Oh, my.
Oh, goodness.
So not only are these clever names for a musical themed couple who are meant to be together because the melody and the beat go together.
With the harmony, somehow.
I don't know who the harmony is supposed to be in this.
Isn't that a line from Hamilton?
That's a white shoes, Deborah. That's
like a
we'll
beat
save
with
that
all
for
the
pucking
melody.
around.
Oh, okay, sorry. We'll put the harmony in. And out sometimes.
So not only for the music themed couple, these are great names, right? In my opinion, they represent what the other sees in them. So the beat often steadies Melody, calming her when she needs it just by being present. And Melody brings joy and pleasure to Beat. She's the most memorable thing to him.
That is very accurate.
Mind blown, right?
Tessa
I like
Bailey,
that a lot.
you're so deep.
I know.
Yeah. It's more than just a cutesy. Like, well, it's music.
Yeah.
Like, it
Well,
is
because
deeper.
honestly, who names their kid Beat? If he wasn't famous, he definitely got called Beat the Meat when he was a kid.
A stoner rock and roll chick. That's who names their kid Beat.
So yeah, but there's
Maybe it's short for like Beatamus or Buteford or something like that.
That is an interesting point, though, that his biological dad was the drummer. Like, I never, ever considered that until you said it. That's a little diabolical.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, oh, no one can find this out. But let
me name him after the drum beat.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So let's get started talking about our favorite moment from this second half of the book.
My favorite moment was when Melody gave a big old fuck you to her mom and like gets up and belts out the Steelbird song with Beat.
Yeah.
I just love that when they get up. First of all, she jumps up on the whatever it was, they're jumped up on like a trunk or something or a table, and he's like, yeah, she did a box jump. And I thought that was just so cute.
Well, and then he's like, next, the gym membership. And she's like, no.
But then also that whole lead up where she basically tells her mom she's hiding behind her anger in her homestead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that scene a lot, too. Deb, what was yours?
I really loved it whenever Beat arrives at the bocce ball tournament in pink body paint and then starts hyperventilating when Vance says that he will marry Mel if Beat doesn't. And I love it not only because does Vance, of course, have pink paint lying around his apartment, obviously.
I wondered that too.
But then they have to walk through the streets of New York to get to Mel's game, which I think is just super duper cute. And I like picture Beat like all tall and buff with just hot pink with an M on his chest.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, sure. Do you all follow
As you do in New York.
Do you follow the What Is New York Instagram page?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've
like
seen
this
that.
would be on there for sure.
Yeah, it wouldn't
Definitely.
be that weird, right?
It would not.
Comparatively. That was one of mine too. The bocce ball. I wrote down bocce ball body paint, which is kind of a tongue twister. But I also loved the scene where they played the footage of the two of them meeting when they were 16. That we saw a little bit at the beginning from Melody's point of view, but then we get to see what happened when she walked away, right?
Yeah.
And from Beat's point of view a little bit too.
That was
I loved
the
that.
sweetest.
That was
when
really,
he was
really
like,
cute.
I just met Melody for the
I
first time.
know.
Oh.
That was so cute. I loved that so much. I'm a sucker for these kinds of scenes.
I kind of am
like,
too.
Meant to be. It was love at first sight. It's always been you. Don't you know? It's always been you. Like, I love it. I eat it up.
I'm staring at you because I'm dead inside. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great.
That was my least favorite scene.
Do you want to hear about my least favorite part?
Was it that scene?
No, my least favorite part is when the blackmailer douchebag baby daddy comes on the Today Show and Beat literally just drops Melody like she's a bad habit.
I know.
Doesn't say anything to her. And I fucking hate the miscommunication trope.
Yeah.
I hate it. And I absolutely despise any character that makes decisions for their love interest based on what they think is best for that person.
Yeah.
I really dislike that. I do like, though, that Melody doesn't come running back to him when he realizes how much he's fucked up, and she takes her time and she comes back when she's ready.
When she's ready to come
right.
back.
And
yeah.
I like that he respected her space, and she said, you know what, there is going to be a time for us. It's not going to be today.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a week or something like that. But it's just I'm like, dude, she already told you not to do that to her, and you just did it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you fucking broke her heart, and you were just going to propose to her. Yeah,
Right.
He pissed me off pretty bad.
That was my least favorite too, but I wrote it down as third act breakup. Boo.
Right.
That's what I wrote
All the
down.
tropes. Yeah.
I hate that. Yeah, you call it miscommunication, and it basically is, right? But that third act breakup, I just like, ugh. There are a couple of authors that I really like that do it well, I feel like. But this, I don't know. I just felt like you've already told her that you're being blackmailed at this point. Right? Like, he had already told her that.
Right.
I don't understand why he couldn't have just told her. You know what I mean?
To
Like,
play devil's advocate a little bit, he was totally blindsided by that.
Don't be logical.
Take up for him.
Sorry.
God.
I agree with you all. I think it's stupid. I hate miscommunication, but trying to see it from his point of view, I'm not saying it was correct. I'm saying that from his point of view, he was blindsided by this. Like, I know me with my anxiety, I'd be like, oh, fuck, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? And then like 2 days later, I'd be like, this is what I should have said. So, you know, and he, in his mind, he's trying to protect her, which again,
and I get that.
but like, I mean, that's the only way I can look at it. Just if you kind of put yourself in his shoes, but I'm not saying it's good or right. I mean,
Right.
it's still frustrating
Yeah.
because that also was one of my, I had two least favorite moments.
Shocker.
I know, right? After the Today Show, when he's being threatened by Fletcher or whatever, and he's trying to protect Melanie, and the really thing that bothered me about it was his dismissal hurts her, and she thinks it's her fault. That's what pisses me off about it.
Yes.
Because she automatically goes to, oh, he's not, she doesn't go think about like, what the hell's wrong with him? She says, what the hell is wrong with me? And it bothers me that women do this.
Yep. Yeah, because she does blame it on, well, I called him, I like outed us as a couple basically, and he must not have wanted me to do that. And it's very much like, no, he's being weird. You should think about why he's being, you know what I mean? Like, it's not about you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No,
I would do that though.
I would too.
In her
like,
position,
that's the thing.
I would
and
do
it just
the
made me
exact
think,
same
like,
thing.
why do we do this to ourselves as women? I mean, I know not everybody does, but
Patriarchy, Mindy.
I know.
Smash it.
But my other least favorite moment is, and you all may disagree with me with this, but in the elevator when Melody knows she isn't going to take him back, but she fucks him anyway.
That was my favorite spicy scene.
I didn't say it wasn't spicy. It just didn't sit right with me. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't want her to take him back right away at all. Like, I totally agreed with that. But giving him that and then just taking it away seemed kind of cruel, even if it was effective. I mean, I don't know. Again,
I don't think he felt like he had her back in that moment, though.
no, he definitely didn't.
Yeah, no, I would agree
But
with that too.
it's like, hey, I don't know. I guess it's pretty badass to say, here's what you're going to miss. But at the same time, it just felt cruel. And it didn't. It seemed out of character for her.
I would have been
in
like,
that
sure,
moment.
go ahead and fuck me up against the wall. See you in a week.
See, I don't think either one of them were really thinking about it in those terms at all, though. Like, I don't think that she was thinking, like, well, here's what you're going to miss. I think both of them were just thinking, like...
Giving into the moment.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, we have this connection, and, like, nobody makes me feel the way they make me feel, so I'm just going to do this and worry about it later, you know?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Just didn't, I don't know.
I understand what you're saying. I do not disagree with what you're saying, but I just don't think she had that motivation. But I don't think B was mad about it.
I don't think he was either.
I don't think he was mad. I think he was devastated though after.
Yeah.
I empathize with both of them, but I still root for Melody more.
Oh yeah, me too.
I guess just girl power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like she's been through more.
Oh, for sure.
Which probably isn't super fair because he's also, being blackmailed by his biological father.
And he's known for years his dad doesn't know that he's not his kid. And so, he's been through it too.
Yeah.
She's been through it longer though. Like all her life.
Whose trauma is worse? Discuss. No, I'm just kidding. What about biggest revelation?
I think my biggest revelation was when Trina, Mel's mom, realizes that she's been a shit parent. Right?
Yeah.
She shows up at Mel's apartment, and I think every kid with a deadbeat parent would love it if said parent showed up and was like, whoopsies, which never ever happens.
Right.
And I want to point out that Trina still has a long way to go, and she knows she still has a long way to go, and I don't feel like... I feel like this was a Band-Aid. I don't feel like it was unrealistic because she's not being like, I'm going to come over and make you eggs every morning. She's still a shit parent, but she at least extends an olive branch to Mel to try to be better.
It's
so
not
I really
a light
like that.
switch. If she was all of a sudden like, oh, okay, now I'm the perfect parent.
Let's
we would
go
have been
shopping.
like, I would have been like, no.
Yeah, no,
But
she's
you're
still a hippie and lives on a commune and doesn't use the internet, which is fine.
Right.
But like, does not pay attention to who Mel is as a person.
Right.
Well,
That's
and
the
she's
bigger
still
problem.
at the root self-centered,
Right,
that's just who
right.
she is, and she's not going to get over that overnight,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
or probably ever, to be honest with you, but she can make an effort.
Even her recognition, or at least part of her recognition of being a bad parent, I felt like it was very self-centered, like you're saying, because at one point they have a conversation where she's like, I know I really suck as a mom, that's why I only see you once a year, because I know that I'm, like, I don't want to put that on you, and I was doing you a favor.
So instead of trying to get better, I'm just going to make it worse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's still being focused on you instead of being focused on your kid. You know,
What was yours, Whit?
my biggest revelation was remembering that that B was being blackmailed. Because I feel like for a big section of the book, it was about Beat and Melody, and the blackmail kind of just wasn't mentioned because it wasn't the focus, right? And I completely forgot about it. And then I think it was the bocce ball. It was either the bocce ball game or the Today Show where I was like, oh yeah, he's
That
being
was going on.
Yeah, that's a whole thing that has
There's
to be
a villain
resolved.
in this story.
Right? And I just completely forgot about
got
it.
wrapped up in the love story.
See, that's what
That's you.
that's what I am coming to these books for, right? Is the love story.
You said coming.
But oh my. But yeah, I totally forgotten that. And I really hated that Beat's biological dad was doing that. That he was such a piece of crap and only interested in money instead of a relationship. But it did make me think about some celebrity paternity rumors and scandals. So I did a deep dive into some of those. So I will say that I only picked 3, and I wanted to focus on these kind of rumors or scandals that have really already completely played out, and the kids in question are like adults basically, and or that the parents involved have like gone on the record to discuss it, and not current like little kids whose fathers are maybe unknown or celebrity single moms. I didn't go there. So there are definitely some current blind items and rumors about celebrity moms who have never been public about their kids' paternities, but I didn't want to go there, so I didn't. So first up, this is the one that popped into my head immediately, and it's Anna Nicole Smith. You guys might be familiar with it because it hits a little close to home in Kentucky. So this one was this one is just a big bummer, first of all. So be ready for that, I guess. Anna Nicole Smith was basically infamous in the mid to late 90s. She was a very young, beautiful, voluptuous is an
She
understatement.
was beautiful. She was a Playboy bunny or something, wasn't she?
Well, she eventually became a Playboy bunny. So basically, she was a dancer who married a much older man who, like, basically she was like his favorite dancer at the club that he went to. And so they got married. He died shortly after they were married. His adult children sued to prevent her from inheriting anything from him. He was an extremely wealthy person. It was a huge news story because it was basically like, look at this gold digger that's trying to take this inheritance away from these kids, right? So she basically really played the game of fame. I didn't mean to rhyme that, but she played the game really, really well. She like used her 15 minutes of fame to make a name for herself. And that's when she became a Playboy bunny or playmate. She had a reality show about her life. And in September 2006, she actually had a baby. She had already had an adult son. So she had a baby daughter in the Bahamas.
Was it the old man's?
No, he was already like...
Okay.
Yeah, he was already done. I think her adult son had already been born by the time she married that guy.
Okay.
I think.
The old guy.
The old guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's not in the picture at all anymore at this point. So she has this baby girl. And a month later, she adds her partner's name to the birth certificate as the father of this baby, right? And his name is Howard K. Stern, not Howard Stern.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
The initial is
That's
very
not
important.
confusing at all.
Right? So not the radio Howard Stern, but Howard K. Stern. He was a lawyer. So, well, I guess he still is a lawyer. So then in February of 2007, sadly, Anna Nicole Smith died very suddenly, but not super unexpectedly. She had a lot of like alcohol, substance abuse issues through the years. Her adult son, had died fairly recently. And basically people thought like she died of a broken heart, essentially. So then this little baby girl all of a sudden has all these men saying, well, actually, that's my daughter, because Anna Nicole Smith was with a few people, kind of close to the same time frame, right? And this little baby that's only a few months old at this point just became the sole heir of her estate because her other child had already passed away.
So all the men are like
coming out of the woodwork.
Exactly.
Now who are the gold diggers?
Exactly. Yeah. So there had already been kind of some questions before Anna Nicole Smith passed away as to if Howard K. Stern was actually this baby's father, right? So that was already a question. So then it just kind of intensified when she died. So then there were DNA tests, and the DNA tests proved Howard K. Stern was not the father.
He was not the father.
You are not the father. But Anna Nicole's former boyfriend and Kentucky native Larry Burkhead was the father. Side note, I actually used to work with Larry Burkhead's sister.
Side note, a couple of Christmases ago, I was in Target getting wrapping paper and dropped it, and he was in there with his daughter and handed me my wrapping paper.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Side note,
He was very nice.
His daughter went to CEP at my kid's elementary school.
We're all like, 6 degrees from Larry Burkhead. Yeah. Like, that's so funny.
Nice guy.
The family is nice. So he has had custody of his daughter with Anna Nicole since the court proceedings wrapped up in 2007. He changed her name to reflect his last name, and he's raised her ever since. And they basically stay out of the spotlight except to attend the Kentucky Derby every year because she's a Kentuckian, he's a Kentuckian. So hopefully she's getting a more normal upbringing with a family that loves her, I'm assuming.
It sounds like it.
It sounds like it. I didn't do a ton of deep dive into what she's doing because she's still a minor,
right.
And that he doesn't have her in the spotlight.
I love how respectful you are of all of that. Good job, Whit.
Thank you so much. The next one is a little bit more not respectful.
All right, hit us with the good stuff.
So next up we have Ronan Farrow. He's made a name for himself in recent years as an investigative journalist. He is the journalist that basically uncovered Harvey Weinstein's, like, I don't even know how you want to say
bullshittery.
Or, yeah. I wrote misdeeds, but
it's a lot more than misdeeds.
Yeah, like that's an understatement.
Horrible self.
Yeah. So Ronan Farrow's like the journalist that kind of made that all come to light, right, during the Me Too movement. His mom is Mia Farrow, the actress, who was with Woody Allen for a really long time. She and Woody Allen were basically like a Hollywood golden couple for many years. And I'm not even going to get into them splitting up. That's a whole thing.
Because
right?
Woody Allen has his own shit, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
I mean,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not even going to go there. So Ronan.
I'm like, this is not as juicy. I'm like, what? Tell us what Woody Allen did.
Well, the short story. Well, okay. Mia Farrow adopted several children. Ronan is the only biological child of Mia Farrow and Woody Allen, right? Mia Farrow has several other children that she adopted. One of those adopted children is now married to Woody Allen.
Yeah, that's not weird at all.
So Ronan Farrow does not have a good relationship, if any relationship at all, with Woody Allen.
Is Mia Farrow still alive?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he even has a relationship with Woody Allen at all. But that's another deep dive. So in 2013, Mia Farrow did an interview with Vanity Fair and on the record said that it was possible that Woody Allen is actually not Ronan's biological father because she was having an affair with Frank Sinatra.
Oh.
I had not heard that.
Yeah. So Ronan actually could be Frank Sinatra and Mia Farrow's child, not Woody Allen and Mia Farrow's child.
So did he never do a paternity test?
Well, no. He would have to do a test with Frank Sinatra's children, like from his marriage.
Oh, okay.
And I guess he's not interested in doing that. Ronan himself has not really said anything on the record about it, except that when the Vanity Fair article came out, I actually really love this. He made a tweet that says, quote, "Listen, we're all possibly Frank Sinatra's son." And that's so great. That's the only thing that he has said like publicly about it. But Mia Farrow, was the one in the relationship, right?
If I were him and I was already estranged from Woody Allen anyways, I'd at least want to know if I wasn't Woody Allen's kid.
Yeah. I mean, I think for him, I would imagine that he just assumes that he's
doesn't
not.
care. Yeah.
And it's just like, whatever, because Frank Sinatra was not alive at this point, I don't think. So it's not like he would be able to have a relationship, even if he knew,
Right.
So there you go. So there are lots of people that have tried to prove that Ronan Farrow is Frank Sinatra's just based on pictures. And you can like look it up and look at side by side of like young Frank Sinatra with Ronan Farrow's pictures and stuff. And he does look a lot like
But
him.
here's the thing. If you put a picture of me and you next to each other, people could say we're long lost sisters.
That's true. Yeah, that's
if
true.
you're looking for it,
Yeah.
Yes,
unless like you're
that's true.
completely different ethnicities, you're going to find it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but I kind of loved that Mia Farrow was like, well, I was sleeping with Frank Sinatra and like said that on the record in this interview. Like, what?
And his son's like,
I love
her son's
that.
like, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. It's fine.
I get the feeling from his response that this was not new information.
Right.
Probably.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Like that tracks.
I think that they had probably had that conversation and it's not like she was dropping a bomb
well, and what
that
does
he didn't know about.
What does he have to gain?
Exactly.
Right, by
Yeah.
proving that? Nothing. So he has he is well taken care of. I mean, shit, Mia Farrow is his mom. He's fine.
Right. He's good.
Sounds
Yeah.
like he's loved by her. So who cares?
So those two I'd heard of. This last one I had never heard of before and kind of can't believe that I had never known this based on like just me and pop culture and how much I love it. So this one's about Janice Dickinson. Okay.
Oh,
So Janice,
from Top Model.
yes, that's what I know her from.
Do you want to
America's
be
Next
on top?
I used to love that show. That show was so messed
I
up.
still love that show.
Oh, man. So Janice Dickinson, the world's first supermodel and also former judge on America's Next Top Model. I did not know this before researching for this deep dive, but Janice Dickinson and Sylvester Stallone were in a relationship. I did not know this. So this is very, very dramatic. Okay.
I'm sorry. I just pictured them in bed.
I know, right? Isn't that crazy? Like,
Well, and I
Stop, man.
no, I picture her sounding like Janice from Friends in bed. Oh my god!
Oh my God. Okay, so they were in a really hot and heavy relationship in the early 90s. But the only problem with that is that Janice Dickinson was with someone else and cheating on him with Sylvester Stallone.
Who was she with?
Somebody.
Someone not Sly Stallone.
Yeah, I don't.
Rambo.
Yeah, I think he was like a producer or a photographer or something. He was in the business, but I didn't know what his name was. So I feel like I was trying to protect it, protect him.
Yeah, of course. You were being respectful to the husband.
Sure. I don't think he was a husband. He was a boyfriend. But anyway, he was with her and she was cheating on him with Sylvester Stallone, right? So then she becomes pregnant with Sylvester Stallone's baby. So she breaks up with the boyfriend. She gets together with, I call him Sly in my notes.
Sly Stallone.
Yeah. So she breaks up with her boyfriend and she and Sly are together for, the duration of her pregnancy, which I get, you're going to have my kid, right? Like, let's try to make this work. You're the mother of my child. Like, let's try to make this work for the baby. Too bad that he was also already in a relationship with a different model. Oh. So he apparently...
Who we're going to protect her identity too, I'm assuming.
I didn't write. It was a lot of names, okay? It was a lot of names. So he breaks up with this other model. I actually really love this. And he didn't tell her why he was breaking up with her. And so she had no idea that he had been cheating on her, that he had been cheating on her with another model, that this model was pregnant with his baby. Like, she found out from her agent.
This isn't going to stay quiet.
Exactly. Her agent told her. Like the next day or something. Isn't that crappy?
That's
like
super rude.
If you're gonna break up with her anyway, like, just like you say, it's not like she's not gonna find out. You're Sylvester Stallone with a very famous supermodel, right? So anyway, they both were with other people. They both like blew up their relationships because he got her pregnant, right? So that sucks. They're together. She has a healthy pregnancy. She gives birth to a healthy baby girl. 6 weeks after she gives birth, the paternity test comes back. Guess what?
It's not Sly's.
It's not Sly's. It was her actual boyfriend's.
Oh.
Shit.
So at least there wasn't like another party, right?
Yeah.
But she blew up her entire relationship and her whole life to be with the father of her kid.
And she blew up somebody else's relationship.
And she blew up somebody else's relationship, and it wasn't even...
Can you just not fucking cheat on each
Right?
other,
Yeah.
people? Just don't. It's pretty easy to not cheat.
Right. So she Janice Dickinson wrote about this in her autobiography, I guess, and basically was like, I really thought it was Sly's baby. Like, I went with my gut. That's what I thought was right. And like, whoops. It's like, oh my gosh.
I just picture the baby coming out and going, forget about it.
Right. So I knew it was yours.
It's got the nose and the Jersey accent.
Right.
Wah.
So when Sylvester Stallone finds out he is not the father, he goes back to previous girlfriend who was with him.
Does she take him back?
Took him back. Not only did she take him back, they eventually got married in 1997, and they are still married to this day.
Good for them.
So they worked it out.
I hope
she
he's kept his
forgave
dick
him.
in his pants.
I hope so too. I believe they have a couple of daughters, I think, together, at least 2, because they come up on my TikTok for you page sometimes. But they made it work, and they're still together now.
Good for them.
Janice and her ex did not have that same
Can't
ending.
imagine why.
The ex-boyfriend, did what he needed to do to be a good dad and has a good relationship with their kid, but they did not get back together, and she has had a rough go of things since the early 90s.
Yeah,
So,
she has.
but yeah, can you imagine like blowing up your entire life? Like,
And then,
oops, I was cheating and, my boyfriend got me pregnant. Sorry. And then be like,
No, he didn't.
actually, it's yours. Like, I mean, for her ex-boyfriend to go through all of that,
Yeah.
like, you lose your relationship. Oh my gosh, she's having this baby with somebody else. And then to find out it's yours and have to try to like,
flip back into that.
flip back into that. Like, well, crap, now we're going to be in each other's lives forever.
I wonder how early now you can tell the paternity of a child.
I don't know.
That's a good question.
I'm sure that they probably could do it before the baby's
I bet they
born.
could do
but-
it through amniotic fluid or something like that.
Probably.
They can find out the gender of the baby
Yeah,
through that.
That's
So,
probably true.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you ever, there's a ton more. There's a ton.
I know. I was hoping for a 45-minute deep dive into this. I'm not going to lie.
I know, but you got to protect the privacy.
I really do like that you did not talk about people where the kids are still like at home and
It
stuff.
just felt gross.
Yeah.
But there are a few current single moms who have very like, it sounds weird to say it like this, but they're very openly private about the paternity of their children because they're not in a relationship. They weren't in a relationship when they had the kids, and it's kind of like, where'd these kids come from? You know what I mean? But
A man who may or may not be married, who may or may not be in this band, and may or may not be the lead singer.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, you could go down a rabbit hole for days. Days.
I don't know if this website still exists, but there used to be a website where it would be people that hooked up with celebrities, and they would say if they were a good lay or not.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of such a place.
So it talks about girth, length, and if it was good.
Okay.
I'll put it in the show notes, people.
Well,
Whitney's like, text it to me now.
Put it in the show notes. Text it to me later. Thank you so much. But yeah, so that was my deep dive and my biggest revelation. Remembering the whole like, oh, that's my dad, and you're blackmailing me. But Mindy, you didn't say your biggest revelation yet, right?
I didn't. I don't know if this is necessarily a revelation, but I kind of found it interesting that Octavia has two sides to her. Like you picture her, she's this enigma, right? She presents herself as this poised person, but she also has this snarky, playful side that's totally hilarious. And I love that she becomes a melody head, like she's watching this live stream. And then when she and Trina are reunited, her badass rocker chick totally comes out, right? Yeah. Lets loose. She totally cracked me up. I didn't really like her at first, but she definitely grew on me, especially when she was interacting with Trina. And one of my favorite quotes from her is, quote, liking her, talking about Melody, so much is very disconcerting considering she sprung forth from the womb of a trifling banshee. I just thought it was like, I don't know. It surprised me, I guess, that underneath it all, like, even though I knew she was a rocker chick back in the day, she comes across as this like poised charity woman. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, that's still in there.
Well, she's actually my favorite secondary character.
Oh, yeah.
And it's because of two other quotes, because I almost wrote that one down. But the reason she's my favorite secondary is first she says, dramatic? Me? The woman carried in on the backs of swan men? You don't say. And then when she's talking about douchebag Fletcher, she says, I want to fillet this motherfucker's balls, grill them until they're done, and dine on them with a bottle of wine.
That was really intense.
Beats like, mother. And so, I love her. She was she came great. Into her own for sure.
Definitely.
During the book.
Yeah, I liked her a lot too. I think that was a good mine was also not really a revelation. Yours is more of a revelation than mine was. So good job. You did it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about sex.
Baby, sex.
What was your favorite spicy scene? You said yours was the hallway. No, the elevator.
Mine was the elevator. Okay, so I want to point out, even though the couch scene in Mel's apartment was actually really hot. I mean, like, Pete knows how to get a girl in a position, if you know what I'm saying. But I could not get past Beat yelling, I'm coming inside you. It felt like something a high school boy would say his first time. So instead, I'm going to opt for beach, joy of oral sex, and the elevator fucking. Because the couch, that ruined it for me. I'm coming inside you! I'm like, oh, Beat. Okay, bud. She knows. You don't have to tell her.
She feels it. It was sweet, though, that he was like, I've never come inside, and you're the first one I've ever come.
I'm coming inside you!
But he did, like, announce it too loud first.
Right. Like, I feel like in, like, the movies where there's a Minuteman, they're like, I'm coming. I don't need, I know. I got you. I got it, bud. Why don't you keep telling me about that position you just put her in instead?
He may not have realized that she would know, though, because he had never done it before.
Yeah, maybe.
You know?
Yeah, maybe. But also, dude, shut up for a second.
The couch scene was my favorite. Not because of that. I guess
God.
In spite of that.
Right. In spite of that. Right.
No,
what'd you like about it?
That he was like vulnerable with her, like the intimacy of like, I'm not gonna have you edge me and then roll over and put my face on the pillow while I like finish myself off.
Like he did in the attic?
Yes. That was so weird. That was much weirder to me.
He's like, best sex of my life. I'm like, you came in your hand.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did not like that when he like rolled away and Melody's like, can
you imagine? Like, I mean, can you imagine though, just laying next to him and he's like, oh, I would be like, and now that's why she was distant. She was like, dude, that was weird.
It was weird. And it would hurt my feelings too, but I was proud of him in Melody's apartment, right? Of like, you did it, you're doing it.
He told everyone he did it.
But I also really liked I guess it was the morning after when they opened the door and they're all the paparazzi or whatever, and he's like, I did it. Like, I love that. That was so
Danielle
funny.
says, you look like you just crossed a sex marathon, and Melody goes, I know, I finished several times.
All of that like funny banter the next morning, I really, really loved that a lot.
I did too.
That was my favorite.
What'd you like, Mindy?
Well, I actually liked the attic.
The attic?
And not the ending, but the during, I guess. Because for me,
I'll get you a box of tissues for Christmas.
Okay, so like cutting off that end part, right? Like cutting off his.
You just act like that didn't happen.
Just pretend like that didn't. Because it
coming.
didn't. Like it totally sucked. Like the aftermath of it, but during it, it just felt so raw and untethered. And I think it's Melody in that moment that describes it as primal, and that just really sums it up for me. Like I love how she knows what Beat needs and edges him flawlessly in that moment. She just learned about that.
10 out of 10.
Right. And then he's so focused on her pleasure, even though he doesn't end up giving himself over fully. But he's at that point, he's still starting to crack open that door to letting go.
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of love that he like rubs his face up in her. I'm like,
I know.
I mean, and
again,
yeah,
that's
I
like the
wasn't mad about that.
primal aspect of it. So yeah, like if we well, it's just like if you don't hear him say, I'm coming inside you. If we don't think about how he rolled over and like got himself off after, which is just
I know, but
really,
also
really
there's
weird.
a mattress with no blanket. Where'd it go? His t-shirt. Come on, bro. We're not middle schoolers. Come on.
Maybe they. Well, never mind.
I don't want to know that either.
Never mind.
I'm sure he found a clean towel
I
in
will
that house.
say, I listened to the audiobook, and the like, I'm coming inside you is not performed that way. So it makes it a little more palatable.
So I'm like, totally coming inside you?
No. It was better than that.
Coming.
Was it okay in that chapter? Was that from his point of view or from hers?
I think it was his. I can't remember.
Okay. I'm just curious if it was in a female voice acting like a man, or if it was from the male
that would
voice.
be better, to be honest. Yeah.
Maybe it was. I can't remember now. But I just know it wasn't like
I'm
shouted.
coming. I am coming
inside you.
So let's talk about chapter MVP. I wonder who we all picked.
Oh, mine was the people of New York.
Oh,
Fun.
Yeah. Not only do they love Mel, like Beat does, but they help her find him once the reunion started and he leaves the set.
that was cute.
That is really sweet.
They treat her with respect, and they're rooting for their relationship from the first time they're on screen together. And I really, really love how the community comes together. And it's like Mel Fan 98 or whatever, or Mel Fanatic. She's like, we saw him at 5th and Broadway. Go, go, go. But like, they're not being disrespectful to her.
Yes.
Like, I love that. The whole world is like rooting for them at
that
this
was
point.
an awesome moment.
Yeah.
There were no weird like stalker trying to break into her apartment kind of moments. Yeah,
Right.
they were all just
Yeah.
like supportive.
Good
but
job, fake New York.
They understood they were on the sideline, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
Just
too.
like they would in real life, right?
Sure.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. That was super realistic.
Who was your MVP?
But mine actually was Trina. I mean, who wouldn't love a woman who seems to pull off large purple wings, a bustier, and Doc Martens, right? So
I'd wear that.
But what I love about her is she really does humble herself to Melody. Again, it's a starting point. It's not like she's got a long way to go, but she totally gets Octavia to release her inner bitch, which is super fun. And then it's her idea to invite douchebag dad to join the reunion so they can humiliate him publicly, which is a total badass move.
Yeah.
And really like the impetus of the whole end of the.
Yeah.
What I love how they're like, you know what? You fucking suck. Let's bring out this old dude that paid for us after you did.
Let's bring out your replacement again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I thought was kind of badass.
Yeah, I liked that a lot too. And Trina, I think, is the one that says like that he came after our kids,
Right.
and that's what kind of brings them back together.
Right.
The two of them, Mama
They
Bear.
sort of got over themselves and said, "Okay,
Right.
this sucks.
We can work
We've had
together
enough
for this."
Yes.
Who was yours, Whit?
Mine was Magnificent Mel.
Oh,
We love
tell
her.
us why.
Well, really, because of what I think both of you guys were talking about earlier about how she wants to be with Beat, but she's not like groveling, crying, like, pick me, choose me.
She's
like
not giving herself up.
Yes. She's like, I need a minute and I'm going to take that time that I need and it's going to be fine. Right. And she's not really taking the time and also freaking out of like, well, what if I'm making a mistake and he's not going to wait for me? What if I'm ruining this? Like, she knows she needs to not be with him right then. And so that's what she does. Right. And I just really liked that because she kind of started the story a lot less self-assured and less confident, and which we talked about last week.
You're right. It did feel like a confident choice because I think previously it would have been a lack of confidence choice. Like, well, he must really just not want to be with me if he keeps treating me like this.
So I'll stay away.
Instead, it turns into he does want to be with me, but I have to be ready.
Yes.
And so, yeah, she does have quite the arc.
Well, and she knows she has to trust him, too. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't realize that until she sees that video. That he's really trusted her from the beginning. Like, she doesn't think he trusts her. And then,
that. Well, and even, after the rolling over in the attic.
We're going to call it spooge time.
You can call it that. But even after that, it's like, that was weird. And I'm going to tell you that was weird, right? Like, she doesn't keep it to herself and just like suffer through it. She's like, no, that hurt my feelings and I didn't like that.
Yeah, so I need all of you or none of you. Thank you very much. And she's like, I deserve all of you.
Yes. Yeah. And I really liked that a lot. So I'm a Magnificent Mel fan too. So she was my MVP. And you, Deb, you already said your secondary character.
That was Octavia.
Octavia,
with her awesome quotes.
Who is your secondary character?
Well, Deb had mentioned earlier about Vance, and he was my favorite secondary character just because he's hysterical. Like, I have a whole thing for the whole best friend teases he'll steal the girl, and then the main guy gets all jealous.
Fuck you, man.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Plus, he's the first one that gets beat really thinking seriously that he can let his guard down with people, especially Melody, during that party when he's talking about how, like, you know what, you just never, you're kind of untouchable, dude. So, like, chill out. And I love that. He seems like a really good friend. And, the best friend's always super funny.
That same conversation with Beat at the party, I think he basically says, like, I know that you've been holding back and that you're not actually yourself, right? Like, you think you're this great actor, but I know that you're not really being yourself with me. But even knowing that, he still has been there for him for all that time. And I think that's
a good friend.
Yeah, that's admirable.
Who was yours?
Well, my secondary character is not really a secondary character.
Is it Beat?
It's Beat. And honestly, I just picked him because I love a simp. Like, he is all in for Melody, and I love that. Mm-hmm. And I'm a simp for a simp. So.
I think one of my favorite tropes might be he falls first.
Yeah,
I do love
because
that.
there's so many books out there of like, well, she's head over heels for him, and does he like me or does he not? And I don't know. And it's very obvious from the beginning that he's into her.
Yeah, no question.
Right.
And never wavers, right? Like, his issues are his issues. It's not anything to do with her. It's all about him, which I really, really like a lot.
And even when he fucks up, it's because in his mind, it's to protect her.
Right. He's trying to do, he thinks he's doing something for her.
He never puts himself before her.
In
his mind, at least.
You might have hit the nail on the head of why I love Tessa Bailey so much, because I'm thinking of her other books.
Yeah.
And it's usually the guy's got his own shit he's got to work through. It has nothing to do with the woman. I love it because I've loved every single book I've read by her.
Yeah. I really like it a lot. I have more to say about that a little bit later. But yeah, I love him. I love the way that he, like, unabashedly is just completely obsessed with Melody. So my favorite quote is from Trina to Octavia. I think it's when she first shows up in Octavia's house, and she says, "Does the mistress of the house require her smelling salts?" That made me laugh out loud when that happened. I loved that.
She's so funny.
She was really funny. I really enjoyed that a lot. That was my favorite quote.
Surprise, surprise! I have two. I actually had three, but I cut one out. But one of mine's from Trina as well, and it's when she's talking to Melody. She says, maybe I am the villain in her story, talking about Octavia, but I am the hero of my own. I'm going to keep on being that for myself if it's all right with the world.
I really liked that.
Loved that. And then I feel like this is sort of the classic line of the whole book is when Beat says, Forever, Mel? Are you going to give me forever? And it says she looked into the eyes that could see clear through to her soul. I'd give us 10 forevers if I could.
Oh,
That's like
that's
the
a really
precious
sweet
happily
ending.
ever
That was
after.
really
after.
sweet.
It's a really good HEA.
Yes.
it is.
Mine was he wanted the camera to leave so he could put his arms around Melody and run his palms over her hair, her face, her back, put his mouth on her skin and inhale her just to get her into his lungs. Do you remember falling in love with your husband?
yes.
And like that smell is very important, right?
I used
And,
to
like,
wear Darren's shirts.
yeah, I need it on me. I want to smell it. I want to smell it on the pillow. I want to smell it in my hair. Like, there is something about pheromones. We talked about that.
Yeah.
I did a deep dive on that one time, but I mean, I understand that from like a very like animalistic level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need this person all over me.
I sniff Robbie sometimes. And he thinks it's really weird.
I don't think it's weird at all.
Weird either.
I don't think it's weird at all. I mean, it's the same way, like, I used to love the way my mom smelled,
Yeah.
right? Like, when I was little. So,
Yeah.
there's something about the person that you're intimate with wanting that smell on you.
Those olfactory bulbs.
Those olfactory bulbs,
Good old
we sure do like
olfactory
those.
bulbs.
So before we talk about the book as a whole, were there any other tidbits or random things you wanted to talk about?
Well, I kind of found it fascinating about this whole idea of imposter syndrome because Melody talks about it a couple of times in here. And you think about being on a reality TV show, you know, when that first came out, nobody really, I mean, really, I don't know that anybody still thinks that it's real TV at all. Like, you know what I mean?
It is real.
She brought that up and I hear it a lot. I actually hear it a lot in the author community as well. So I wanted
sure.
to dive a little bit into that. And it's kind of defined as that feeling like you're a fraud despite evidence that you are successful. Like I said, as we connect with more authors, I realized it's something that pretty much really everyone suffers from at some point in their life. Celebrities like Tom Hanks, Lady Gaga, Natalie Portman, and Tina Fey have all been quoted that they have imposter syndrome. And so there's 8 major characteristics of it. The first is self-doubt. The second is sabotaging your own success. Third, undervaluing contributions. Fourth, a low self-esteem. 5, a fear of failure. 6, overworking. 7, not accepting recognition for achievements, which I am constantly doing this.
Also sounds like severe anxiety.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yep. I got
Like,
that. I got
always-
that. Yeah.
Check.
I always am like, you know, that really wasn't me. That was somebody else. Or, you know, I didn't really do that much. If somebody's saying, like, paying me a compliment, like, I feel like a lot of people suffer from this. And then the last one's comparing yourself to others, which I feel like at some point in everybody's life they've done.
I have to
Every
remind
day,
myself
yeah.
there's always someone doing it better than you and doing it worse than you.
And that's
Yeah.
okay.
You just need
Yeah.
to focus on yourself.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So,
or ask to learn from those people that are doing it better than
Yeah.
you.
So there are 5 types of imposter syndrome. And I kind of, as I was going through, I'm like, which one am I? So I actually want to find out if you all agree with me on what I pick as mine. But anyway, so the first one is called the perfectionist. They have a need to achieve exceedingly high standards, but their relentless pursuit of perfection often results in excessive self-criticism, anxiety, and burnout.
That sounds like Whitney.
So you might be
And Deb.
and Mindy. So you might be a perfectionist if you A, micromanage everything. B,
Check.
don't know how to delegate tasks. Check. You obsess over little details. You struggle with decision making. 100% for me. You have high standards and unrealistic expectations.
Maybe.
I definitely have that. And you have an incredible fear of failure or making mistakes. I pretty much check off all those boxes. So
I don't struggle with decision making. If anything, I'm too decisive. I'm like, yep, this is what we're doing. Moving on.
you might be closer to the second one called the superhuman. And these are high achievers who pressure themselves to excel in all areas of their life to justify their accomplishments and success.
Do you mean someone who works so hard for years and never sleeps and make themselves chronically ill?
like a workaholic?
It sounds like them.
So the superhuman often struggles with being too self-critical. And signs you have superhuman imposter syndrome are you don't handle constructive criticism well, which I feel like you kind of do.
I think I'm actually pretty good at that.
Yeah, I do too. That one I wouldn't say you're like. You feel stressed when you're not working. I definitely feel that. You feel guilty when taking breaks.
Yep.
And you put a lot of pressure on yourself to perform at your best.
Yeah, 100%.
You're a superhuman.
I'm a superhuman.
And not in a good way, I guess.
She's Wonder Woman.
I'm trying to be less super.
The next one is called the natural genius, and they think their success is solely based on their natural talent or intelligence. Success has always come easily to them, so this is like beat, right? So they set impossibly high standards for themselves and can get overwhelmed in competitive environments where they are forced to challenge themselves. Natural geniuses' characteristics include success has come easily to them in the past. Their self-confidence suffers considerably when faced with a setback. They believe success comes from inherent ability, not hard work and practice. You have very high standards for yourself, and they're critical of perceived obstacles that might impede their success.
Sounds like my son.
Oh, interesting. The next one is called the soloist, and the soloist is very independent and feels like they need to achieve success solely on their own because they don't often ask for help. They often feel isolated and overwhelmed, which leads to self-doubt and feeling inadequate. Soloists are characterized by feeling like they need to accomplish everything on their own. They feel incompetent if they need help. They struggle to network, and they have difficulty accepting constructive criticism.
Oh, it's my other kid.
Honestly, I feel like I might be a little bit of that too. Maybe. I don't know. I'm getting better about stuff like that. But the final one's called the expert. And these are people who have invested so much time and effort into their education and training that they feel like they should know everything about their chosen field, but still doubt their abilities and worry that they won't be able to handle all the challenges of their job. So if you're an expert, you might feel like you need to master every step in the process, feel like you need to constantly pursue training and certifications, feel like a fraud despite having expertise, and struggle with procrastination because you feel overwhelmed. I feel like that's maybe my son. But so we've already said this. I definitely would categorize myself as a perfectionist. But here
I am too.
Yeah. So here are some ways to combat imposter syndrome. So first, you need to normalize the feelings and know that you're not alone. And this was surprising to me. Studies have shown that between 70 to 80% of people will have feelings of imposter syndrome at some point in their life. And after reading all that, like, you can see how easily somebody could slip into one of those. 2, they say to talk it out. Talk with your friends, your family, your coworkers, or therapist. And there was a really cool quote that said, "Shame thrives in darkness, so give it the opportunity."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then celebrate your accomplishments, big or small, and it will start changing your mindset. So a Facebook group I'm in for Julie Olivia's readers, it's called Feisty Firecrackers. If you want to join us, it's really fun. But she always does a weekly post called Bite-Sized Victories, and you can post anything that you've accomplished, even if it's just, today I didn't yell at my kids, or today I only ate 5 brownies instead of 6, or whatever, whatever's an accomplishment for you. And it runs the gamut of, like, work-related things, and like I said, just little things.
That's
and it's really
idea.
nice to sort of look at everybody's, this is what I got through today, and it's okay. The next one is get to the root of where your imposter syndrome comes from. So was it a past experience or trauma, perhaps? Knowledge is so empowering, and understanding helps us challenge those behaviors.
Yeah.
And then finally, challenge the negativity. When you're feeling like a fraud, you need to focus on the times that isn't true. So I know that's easier said than done, but sometimes you might have to do some serious therapy to combat those negative feelings. I'm thoroughly pro therapy. I've actually been working through a lot of my issues on a weekly basis with a therapist, and I would add normalized therapy too, because I feel like it's come a long way, but there's still a stigma attached sometimes to that.
Absolutely.
And I just don't think anybody should feel like they shouldn't do therapy because there's something wrong with them. Like, that's why we do it, so that we can learn to live in a world that tells us that therapy's not okay, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, anyway, I just thought that was a really cool. It brought a lot to light for me, just the whole idea of imposter syndrome, because I was like, I don't feel like an imposter, but I definitely do.
Yeah.
Like, even sometimes with our podcast, I'm like, am I, like, do people really care what I have to say?
They love,
but they
Mindy.
do. I know, like, they love us, and I think, man, we're hysterical, and and we kind of are, and people, like, I don't know, I get a little validation from that. So
We're
thank
real
you,
fucking
listeners.
funny.
Thank you, listeners, for
Yes.
all the positive feedback, because it really does help us.
And please tell us we're great so we don't have imposter syndrome, because I'm a superhuman and I'll keep working until someone tells me I did a good
Make
job.
sure you leave us a review and 5 stars. Thank you so much. We love you. So let's talk about the book as a whole. So what was your favorite part of the book, just overall?
Well, I wouldn't say I have a favorite part. I want to say what I like the most about this book is that Tessa Bailey writes very lovable characters. And I mentioned this earlier, but she does not in this book, she doesn't do the typical grumpy sunshine trope that's so popular right now. And I love how in love Beat is with Melody.
Yeah, me too.
And Tessa Bailey does a very good job of bringing the reader on the journey of falling in love. And I'd say she's good at that in all of her books. And so that's really what I loved about it. Just like the feeling that you get while you're reading this book was very positive. And this is a great December read, you all.
Oh, it is. Yeah. It's such
sure.
a good holiday read.
And it's not super like Christmassy or anything. Like
It's not
not
Christmassy.
really.
Yeah, I mean,
At all.
the only thing that's Christmassy is they're gonna reunite the band on Christmas Eve.
Right.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
rest is really about the
like
them
it
going,
just happens to be Christmas time.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, but it does
yeah.
have that sort of holiday feel to it still.
It does.
Which is, kind of cool when you think that it's not really
feels-
about Christmas, but it feels Christmassy.
Right. It feels light and fun and
Well, and it's we were just talking before we were recording about how busy this time of year is. And this is a quick read. Like it's not going to take you away from all the other stuff that you need to do,
Yeah.
but it will take you away enough to help like calm that stress a little bit,
right. Don't forget to
I
take
loved
time
it.
for yourself, you all.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite part, again, like you said, Deb, it's not a favorite part. It's just what I like most about it. But having it be the dual point of view and being able to see from both of them that they are equally like into each other, I really, really love that a lot.
It makes
I
it more
enjoy
palatable,
it.
the whole miscommunication
Yeah.
thing. Because I'm with you, Deb. I don't love that trope. I get why people use it because it definitely brings tension. But having the 2 points of view, you're not confused. You're not as confused as you could be.
Yeah.
I really like dual POV in romance. I wouldn't say I love it so much in fantasy books because I
Yeah.
think
I agree.
sometimes it's used in fantasy to do more world building. And I'm
And
like,
it
if you have to
gets
keep
confusing.
telling me about your world with the second person, we need to
Right.
dial it down a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely gets confusing in fantasy, but I loved it in this book.
Oh, for
'Cause
sure.
I think it helps too. If we did not get to see Beat's point of view and only saw Melody's, we would not like him.
I
as
don't.
much.
I was about to say
True.
you would be a very
Yeah.
unlikable character if
Yeah,
you did not
no,
get his
like,
POV.
because you would be making the same assumptions that Melody makes, right? Because it would be from her perspective. That would be the information that we had, and it makes it for a more fun reading experience. I think to be able to really like both of the characters.
Yeah, for sure.
So
For me, I just love that at the heart of this book, it's a romance, but it's also this tribute to strong female friendships and finding your way back to somebody. So when you look at their moms and how connected they were when they were a band and then they grow apart and being able to sort of find that common ground again with their kids and then sort of reigniting their love for what they used to do together. I thought that was really sweet. And there's so much more to be explored there.
yeah.
But
I hate to break it to you two, but there's no getting rid of me. there is going to be no reunion because I'm not going away.
Don't call it a
well, you're
comeback.
stuck with me too.
We were talking about this at book club this week. How like you find your people and you're cool with just those people.
Yeah. But I don't need any other people.
Right. Yeah.
It makes me think of the new Blink 182 song. It says they're talking about like their relationship and it's from strangers into brothers and from brothers into strangers once again.
Oh,
And talking about like the horrible like tragedies that happened to like bring them back together. It makes me think.
Is it about Travis Barker's accident? Is that what you mean?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it says it's like it shouldn't take a sickness or an airplane falling out of the sky for like do I have to die? Do I have to die to hear you miss me? Is one of the lyrics, and it's like
Tragedy
sometimes
does
that
bring
happens.
people together, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's that same kind of idea, right? Like we were so close, and then we were not. We were strangers, but it doesn't always have to be that way.
I have a couple of questions.
Oh, okay.
So, do we ever find out what Beat and Melody do with the $1 million? Does it say?
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know how they spent their millions because her whole thing was getting out, like having her own money.
Yeah, financial
right?
independence.
Right. And I mean, Beat already has all his own money, so he's
Right.
fine, right?
I feel like Beat probably funneled it back into the foundation.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was kind of my thought too. And then my other question
Oh, Lord.
was, does he still yell, "I'm coming inside you," every time they fuck? Did it become a habit, and does she like it?
I think she did like it when
I
he
think
did
she
it.
did
At least
too.
the first time.
Right. So I wonder how many more times he yelled that.
That's got to get old, though. Yes, I know.
Yeah, I get it. I can feel it. It's running down my
know.
leg, bro.
Boo.
Did you all have questions?
I don't think I did. I was just like, yeah, they're together. Done. That's all I want in the world, you know?
And I would like to say to Tessa Bailey, if you could write the sex scenes for all the books I like, that would be really great.
She does write good.
She does write good sex scenes. She writes a really good angst. She helps you understand like how they're both feeling. She goes into good detail about things,
But not too much.
it's not gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think that things that get super explicit are gross. That's not what I'm saying. But sometimes it gets to a level where you're like, all right, I get it.
Sometimes I think it's gross.
I would say it's sensual without being overly sexual.
Right. I think we all have our
Yeah.
things that we like to read in
Yeah.
books. And I really
Sure,
like her.
yeah.
I like her sex scenes because some people do like the extremely explicit parts. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. Sometimes those do get me going, but I like the way that she writes.
Yeah. No, I liked it a lot too. The one thing that I would want to say to her is what we were talking about earlier, like the fact that she writes the guy as the quote damaged one, the one that has some kind of trauma in their past that they need to work through, whether that's with a partner or by themselves. Because so many books, it's the girl, right? The girl's got some kind of trauma. She's quote damaged and she needs the man to help her through it. And that gets really old, right?
It does.
And I really appreciate having that flipped and having the opportunity to read that in reverse, right? And have the woman be the strong one and the woman be the one that can be there for her partner and help him through his junk in more ways than
She
one.
does help him with his junk.
But yeah, I enjoyed that a lot.
For me, it's that because I love a quirky girl character.
yeah.
I love that she took different avenues to the quirky girl. Like, I love that she played bocce ball, which is something so totally.
I don't even know what that is.
It's literally like old people do at the retirement home. Like,
They're playing it at a bar. It's like ironic.
Yeah, it's very ironic.
It's weird, yeah.
But I love that that's sort of her quote unquote sport, you know, and that she's not like a weird dresser. Like, a lot of times they'll make them be like, well, she wore knee socks and her, you know.
I think B would like that, to be honest.
He totally would. But like, she
restores books for a living.
and that's the other thing.
Which I think for every
love.
reader, we're like, yeah, girl, get it.
Just those little nuances of the quirky girl, I appreciated because it wasn't the same old.
There is a part of me, though, that's like you live on your own in New York in a 1-bedroom apartment and you replace books. You're getting some money from your mom.
That's why she wants $1 million.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm saying, though, like,
it was realistic.
I mean, yeah, you had no roommates. You weren't living in a studio.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Mindy. She's not like other girls, but it didn't feel like a stereotype.
Yes.
It felt like
It wasn't She's All That, where they take the glasses off of her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very genuine.
It felt like Tessa Bailey created an actual person.
Yeah.
And it felt true to Melody, right? Instead of just like, oh, okay, quirky girl. Got it. You know? Yeah. She's just a talented
She's
writer.
magnificent.
She's got a great career ahead of her.
Melody or Tessa Bailey?
Tessa Bailey.
Yes, she does.
Melody too, I'm sure. So, guys, now we come to the part that I'm nervous about, given my track record with fan casting.
Okay, so
But I put a lot of effort into
you're
this.
you're probably in luck this time because you don't. I think you're probably more in luck this time. I'll tell you why off air.
So, who did you guys fan cast as Melody?
I fan cast Vanessa Hudgens.
I see that.
She's shy in real life. She's like cute. She's a little quirky. She seems real sweet. And I don't know. I could see her walking through the streets of New York in a little like knee length like poofy skirt playing bocce ball. Couldn't you?
Yes.
I think she's adorable.
I think that's a good one.
Yeah,
What about you,
I
Whit?
approve. I said Hunter King. She was on, she's Joey King's sister.
Okay.
I know her from the TV show Life in Pieces that had a few seasons, but it's been off the air for a little bit. She is so gorgeous. and she is also hilarious. And her character on this show is like this super hot, like high school girl that's dating like a super dweeby guy. And the whole family is like, why is she with him? Like, she is so funny on that show. And that's kind of what made me think of her, is she can be the absolutely gorgeous, like, of course everybody would love her kind of thing. And she can also be like kind of off the wall and really, really funny.
Right.
But yeah, I picked Hunter King. She would be great.
I don't know her, but she sounds like she'd be perfect.
Yeah, look up Life in Pieces. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere because it was really hilarious. I'm
Was
sad
it on
it's
like
off the air.
ABC Family or something?
I think it was CBS.
Oh.
It was one of the big
Potato.
right. It was one of the big like the big four networks. I think I'm pretty sure it was CBS. But Tom Hanks' son was in it too. He was also very funny.
I love Colin Hanks.
Yeah, he was good.
Who was yours,
Look
man?
it up.
So my first inclination was to go with like a younger Zooey Deschanel, but then I thought about Miranda Cosgrove.
Oh yeah,
She has the same vibe as Vanessa Hudgens, I'd
Very
say.
similar,
Yeah.
yeah. I just like from her on iCarly, especially that sort of like, again,
Yeah.
she's super cute, she's fun, she's attractive, but she's hilarious and doesn't mind like humiliating herself. So yeah, I think ultimately I would end up with Miranda Cosgrove for my Melody.
Yeah. What about Beat?
Okay, I'm super excited because I don't like being able to see Mindy's notes, but I just saw them and we fucking picked the same person for
kidding
Beat.
me?
Yes. Really?
Okay, so it's Robert Buckley who plays Major on iZombie.
yes.
Yeah.
He's sweet. He is a tall glass of water. He is so fucking buff. He loves
he's a
her
good choice.
unconditionally.
Yes.
He's got the boy next door vibe.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he is so pretty.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
so
a really
pretty.
good.
That's exactly why I picked him. I mean, you really hit every point. He's just got that sweet, smirky thing going for him.
He
And
does.
Like you said, he's the boy next door, but you can totally tell he has a nasty side to him, too.
He'd be nasty.
He'd be nasty.
Well,
But he would not yell, "I'm coming."
No, he wouldn't.
I'm pretty sure Beat didn't yell it.
I think he did.
Well, they didn't play
Deb's
it that
gonna die
way
on that hill.
in the audiobook. Well, I went a different, not a different direction. I just picked somebody who wasn't Robert Buckley. I picked Aaron Taylor Johnson, but with short hair.
What's he in?
He was just in, oh gosh, he was in one of the Marvel movies, the Scarlet Witch's brother.
Oh yeah.
Him with short hair. But yeah, the buffness and, you know, because the whole like box jumping scene.
That Robert Buckley could totally do.
Well,
Yeah, he
100%.
definitely could
Yeah.
pull that off.
But he could also do the brooding, like, I've got a dark secret, you know, kind of side of Beat.
Major is a serial killer, so
Yeah.
I mean, there's no darker secret than that.
I mean, like,
spoiler alert for iZombie.
it's not a competition. It's just our fan cast.
It is. I'm just kidding.
So, did you guys do any fan cast for Octavia?
I did.
I did too. Okay.
Who is it, Whitney?
I said Robin Wright.
Oh, yeah, I can
Oh,
see
that's
that.
good.
Well, she can do anything, but she can very much do the classy, like buttoned up. I'm a serious, elegant, you know, philanthropist or something. But she can also do the like, I'm gonna scream and cuss you out,
Yeah.
a la, you know, House of Cards. I think she would be perfect for that kind of role.
For all the same reasons, I picked Jane Fonda.
Oh,
yeah, I can see that.
Have you ever seen her in Monster-in-Law?
Oh,
It is
yeah.
so funny.
Yeah.
She's hilarious and she's super classy and she doesn't take any shit from anyone. And can't you see her riding in on a swan throne?
100%.
Yeah. What about you, man?
This one was like super easy for me, and I just had so many. I first went to Diane Keaton,
Oh, yeah.
and then I also thought about Emma Thompson and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh, yeah.
Like any of those
Ooh,
women,
I like
same
Michelle
reasons as you
Pfeiffer.
guys, like
Yeah.
could pull off both sides. I mean, Octavia is just so multi-layered, and
Yeah.
I think any of them, and really any of them that you picked, could totally pull her off.
We had good choices.
We did have good choices for that.
Did either of you do Danielle?
I did.
I did not.
I did Danielle and Joseph.
Ooh.
Ooh, I did not do Joseph. Who'd you do for Danielle, Mindy?
So for Danielle, I originally thought Margot Robbie, but then because I think when I look at Joseph and Danielle, I kind of think of them as Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds.
Ooh.
Oh, that's nice.
I like that.
So I said for Danielle, Isla Fisher, because she has that little bit of like get your shit together type of attitude, but then can be like super sweet too. Because my initial thought was Parker Posey, but she doesn't have Parker Posey would never be like, sure, we'll turn the cameras off for you.
Oh,
No, absolutely
Whenever
not.
I think of Parker Posey, I think about her in New Girl when he's like, how old are you? And she says 27. And then like makes mean faces at him. And he's like, oh, okay, perfect. Oh, that's funny. Who is your Joseph, Mindy?
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds. That's right. You said that. Did you guys fan cast Trish?
You mean Trina?
Trina?
I did.
I did too.
Or Trish, whatever you want to call her.
Did you guys fan cast Trina?
Who did you fan cast for Trish/Trina?
Well, I did write down Trish. But I said Winona Ryder. I thought she would be really good in the like
there, but
new age hippy dippy,
Yeah.
kind of flighty, and then come back and be like, yes, I sucked. I get it. Like, let me try to make this better, you know?
Mine's a little bit more obvious. It's Chrissy Hind.
Oh,
the lead singer of the Pretenders.
God, I didn't even think about going to like rockers.
Yeah, like she, I mean, 100% kind of exudes Trina attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Stevie Nicks, and then I was like, well, no, I can't talk about her again.
Sure you can. Who was yours, Mindy?
Well, I went with Helena Bonham Carter because she just has, like you said, like that Stevie Nicks gypsy quality. But now that I'm thinking about it, like I could see Joan Jett. Now that you've brought up
Joan
Chrissy
Jett
Hind.
too. Yeah. So I almost texted you guys this morning. Maybe this could be my nerdiest thing. I had slept with my hair up in a messy bun. And you know how in Harry Potter and like the one where Sirius dies and she's like got her wand and her hair's all fucking crazy. And it's to the, like, it's essentially a side ponytail, but it's curly. That's what my hair looked like this morning. And I almost texted you guys and I'm like, what's the death curse? Avada Kedavra!
Oh, that's great.
Good times.
Did you guys fan cast anybody else?
I did Fletcher.
I did too. Did you?
I've thought of one since then.
Oh, okay, so Mindy, who did you fan cast?
Now, like, I just really quickly in my mind, I'm like, what do I think he looks like? And so I totally went Steve Buscemi. Like, now that's like all I can picture him looking like.
Oh, good Lord. Well, who was yours, Whitney?
I said David Crosby.
And he is
From Crosby
and
Nash?
Yeah, okay.
I see that.
That's who I pictured the whole time.
So mine was Tommy Lee.
Oh.
He's a little sleazy. You know, he fucked everybody. Like, he definitely broke up some bands. You know, he did. Yeah. So, again, I got a little more literal, but
he could definitely pull off the, like, I'm going to be sleazy and blackmail
I'm going to black
you.
for sure.
Yeah, he could
100%.
totally pull that off.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense to him.
I mean, didn't his dick, like, talk to him and stuff? Wasn't that, like, the thing that came out in that movie?
I mean, they did that in the miniseries, but I don't know if that is from his book or something.
I don't know.
We'd have to ask the producer of the podcast.
If you could let us know. Yeah.
Because you know he knows the answer to that.
He does know the answer to that.
Oh, man. Was there anything else, Fancast or otherwise, that you guys wanted to talk about?
No, this was really fun.
Yeah,
It was really fun. It was a good choice. Good job. Thank you, Deb, for this choice.
You are
this was you.
It was a
welcome.
nice, light
This was all
choice
you.
to go after Midnight Mass.
I know, right? Like it was, yeah.
We need a little pick-me-up.
Yeah. So what about nerdiest thing of the week? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first because speaking of Midnight Mass, I came across this article that was like all the people that have been in all of Mike Flanagan's things.
I read that same article.
And so it got me wanting to watch Fall of the House of Usher, which I'm not done yet, but I've completely like
I haven't started
immersed
it.
myself in. It's so good.
Yeah, I
So
know
I'm
I'm
like
gonna love
definitely
it.
like binging.
What's it about?
So it's actually based on the Edgar Allan Poe story, Fall of the House of Usher, but it's more intertwining a lot of his other short stories.
And it's Mike Flanagan? Mm-hmm. Is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
It's on
Okay.
Netflix,
Yeah, it's 8 episodes. And so each one, so there's like these 2 siblings that have created this like pharmaceutical empire basically. And they have, well, the guy has 6 kids. Some from one mom, and then like the others are from totally different moms. And so, and they each get like a piece of the, business or whatever to run with, or they get money to like go on a project. So they all have these like terrible like personalities, but it's really interesting. Like stuff starts happening, and there's sort of a supernatural element to it. Because there almost always is with Mike Flanagan.
It's Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, and it's just really intriguing.
Is it as creepy as his other things?
I wouldn't say it's creepy like Midnight Mass. It's more psychologically thrilling.
I like that.
It's definitely it's more rooted in, real people, things that could really happen. Mm-hmm. And it's gruesome. Like some of the stuff is gruesome like he has, but it's a mind fuck kind of.
Okay.
Which
cool.
I get into for some reason.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah.
Deb, what was your nerdiest thing?
So I actually did a book swap, and I'll link the group in the show notes. It's through Instagram. It's these 3 bookstagrammers that do book swaps a couple times a year. And so like you fill out a little Google form, they pair you with someone. They actually paired me with someone in Kentucky.
Oh, cool.
And she was out of town. Otherwise we were going to like meet up and swap boxes, but she actually got me a signed book of Wreck the Halls from Tessa Bailey.
Oh, that's
Isn't that amazing?
nice.
So she got me Ice Planet Barbarians, which I've been dying to read. And then she got me a signed copy of this. She sent me coffee, little bookmarks. It was a really, really sweet little package. I loved it a lot. And I wrote her and I was like, I didn't get anything signed for you. I'm sorry. She said, no, Tessa just happened to be in town and she saw that we were going to be covering this. And so she went and got a signed copy for me. I thought it was really sweet. Shout out to Michaela.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Way to go, Michaela. Well, I have a couple. So when we were at Lust in the Low Country, I entered a giveaway and actually ended up winning. Yay! So I got a really cool box from L Rivers that we're going to post on our social. It'll be up on our social media at this point.
Cool.
But it's super cute. Basically like everything you need for a cozy read. So she sent me one of her books, and I had a like quilted blanket that's book themed made, and this really, really pretty porcelain teapot with like the built-in teacup and saucer.
Nice.
And a scented candle that's called Library.
Shout out to L Rivers.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I went to London last week and just got back a few days ago, and we had a lot of nerdy things. I basically like kind of didn't really sleep either on the way there or the way back, and just read instead. I read like 5 books while I was gone. Went to Waterstone's bookstore and found a couple of cool things. And my big nerdy thing was 2 nerdy things. I tried to get tickets to Kensington Palace and ended up buying them on the wrong day.
I've done that.
And that was a big bummer, but that's okay. And Westminster Abbey was my real big nerdy thing, like looking at all the different tombs, and they have like a poet's corner where a bunch of poets are buried, entombed. It feels weird to say that, but I mean, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, it's where they lay to rest.
Yeah, and like Queen Elizabeth I's tomb is there, and that was really cool. Like we spent hours at Westminster Abbey.
Wow.
Hours. But it was really fun. We did all the touristy things, and it was a really good trip. So
London is my favorite city on the planet.
It was
amazing
too, for sure.
It's a clean New York with hotter guys.
Well, I don't think I saw hotter guys.
You were in the touristy areas. That's why
I was in the touristy
you were
areas.
all the dirty Americans were.
Exactly. 100%.
I called my husband. I talked about this on the podcast last season, but I did a big trip by myself, like 12 days in the spring. And I called my husband. I had a layover in Lisbon to come back to the U.S. And I called him and I'm like, the only rude people I've encountered in 12 days have been Americans.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was born on the wrong continent. I say it all the time. I was made to drink during the day. I am okay with having a gin and tonic at lunch. And I think honestly, because I'm a little bit more quiet whenever I'm like doing things out in public, I just fit in better. You know what I mean? And when I got to Lisbon, I was like, all of you Americans need to get the fuck off me and be quiet. It got very loud all of a sudden where I was.
Yeah, well, yeah. But yeah, it was good. It was a good trip and it was really fun. So
Yay.
So that
We're
is
glad you're back, though.
Oh, well, thanks.
We missed you.
That is it for this week. Next week, we're going to have 2 episodes for you guys. We have an interview with author Whitney Dean, and then we will be releasing A Court of Frost and Starlight on winter solstice. Bye.
Bye. Like what you heard in this episode? Follow Our Nerdiest Thing on Instagram at instagram.com/Our Nerdiest Thing or Facebook at facebook.com/Our Nerdiest Thing. We love hearing from fellow nerds. Email us at ournerdiestthing@gmail.com.